Welcome you all, especially students of IPM 2.0, to this interactive session that we had planned to do it once in 15 days. So I'll start by talking about the experience of IPM 1 students. So now this Sunday you will be giving full length GS1 paper. So you have completed the GS1 paper along with few essay and ethics tests. I have met many people here, many nervous people also who are not able to complete the paper, who are not able to complete the syllabus on time before every test. This has been the common experience for those who are writing regular tests. The experience is that most of them started with 7 to 8 answers, and after at the end of GS1, they are able to still write only 12 to 14 answers. So nobody is able to write more than 14 answers. And IPM 2.0, you will face the similar situation. When you start writing answers, you might, if it is your first mains test of 20 questions, you will be able to write only like 6 to 8 answers. And that too, you will struggle to structure your answer. You will struggle to write very good introductions. You will struggle to recall points. And before writing the exam also, you will be struggling to complete the syllabus also, right? Just remember that this is the common experience for everyone. So you're not an exception. So don't think that it is only happening with you and it is only you that who is lagging behind. If somebody had written IPM in the last year, that too, if they had written minimum 50% of the test, maybe they will be able to write 14 to 16 answers now. So don't worry if you're writing less number of answers. Secondly, the quality of answers. In my last Zoom session, I told you that because there are like 50 plus tests, the speed will definitely improve. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to even consciously try to push yourself, because if you commit yourself to write all the tests, the speed will be taken care of. So your attention, total attention, complete focus should be on writing quality answers. So what do I mean by quality answers? The quality answer is that which can fetch you 6 marks out of 10, maximum 5.5 to 6 marks, and then 7.5 to 8 marks out of 15 marks. So to write that kind of answers, now don't worry about whether to go with point format or paragraph format. What is most important is addressing the demand of the question. So the demand of the question must be addressed with preciseness and relevant content. So what many people lack is that being precise, right? So they elaborate a point unnecessarily, and they bring unnecessary background information, which is not relevant to the demand of the question, right? Secondly, the quality of examples, because when you are thinking about the speed aspect, that you look at the 20 questions, you have 3 hours, and then you feel like, you need to answer certain number of questions, like 18, 19, 20. Most of the people want to answer all the 20 questions. You end up writing mediocre generic answers. You will not be able to recall quality example. So this is something I have been constantly observing whenever people bring IPM copies, the evaluated copies here. So I have gone through toppers copies, and I myself, the students who are part of IPM or OGP and main test series here, I have seen many of the copies who went on to become toppers. So one difference that can make in your answer is the quality argument and quality examples. So as part of your routine preparation before every exam, before every IPM exam, you must focus on, enriching your existing notes or collecting quality examples and doing multiple revision of them and retaining them in your memory. It can be either through writing practice, daily writing practice, memorization, revisions, multiple revision, it doesn't matter. So now again, that also doesn't happen because you want to cover everything A to Z from page 1 to last page. You want to complete a book, complete your notes. So don't go with that notion. So you have to be precise. You have to be selective. You should know what is important and what is not important. For that, previous year questions are your Bible. So if you keep, I mean, make it a habit to at least every day half an hour spend looking at previous year questions, both prelims and mains. Right? Something that was there in prelims can be a mains question. Something that was there in mains can be a prelims question next year. We don't know. So you have to be aware and you have to remember previous year questions to make a list of topics that are important for the next test. So for every topic that you make a short list, you should have quality examples. So now when you, in the examination hall, when you want to write all 20 answers, so you tend to write what immediately comes to your mind in the answers. So I think you will agree with me, like, because if you've written tests, what happens in the introduction, you are kind of scared to spend more time to come up with a thoughtful line. Instead, what happens? Anything that comes to your mind, the easiest way is to repeat what is there in the question, or if you know an important fact or exam data, something that you will write in the introduction. So another easiest way people resort to doing is write the definition of one of the keywords that is there in the question in the introduction, which is wrong. Not wrong, not uh, recommended actually. So in the introduction, every question will have minimum 2 parts, right? I mean, you can create multiple parts. The question itself will have at least 2 parts in UPSC examination. These are essay type questions. So essay type questions, anything that is more than 150 words, 200 words you are writing is known as essay type question. So in essay type question, your introduction must have significance and context related to the topic in the question. So not a mere definition or a fact, right? So if you're not practicing introductions on daily basis based on the topics that you have selected, if you're not thinking deeply for every topic that you have studied or revised, in the examination you will end up writing very average generic introduction. Again, in the body also it happens. You know the argument, you know the concept. What I see is that many people who have done multiple revisions, their conceptual clarity is very good. They write the conceptual part very well. But to validate that concept, the argument, idea, statement, whatever they have written, they fail to validate it with very specific example. So now I was going through this year rank 1 copy. So if she has written 10 points, she has written at least 8 to 9 examples, and the quality of example is really good. So that is what is the demand in the examination. There should be balance between analysis and the facts you provide for validation. Analysis is breaking into parts, deeply examining. So examining means, so you have to give evidence, support your argument. Again, without being elaborate, without explaining much, without becoming, descriptive in nature, you have to ensure that. So it is a, it takes lots of efforts. For me, very easy to tell. That is why courses like IPM are your chances to improve these things. In the examination, my suggestion, my sincere suggestion to all of you is that not to miss a single test. You don't know how important it is to give every test. Sometimes you will feel like lack of motivation. You will feel lack of preparation. You will feel like lethargic, especially if it is online. So again, last time I told you, find any offline center, library, something, go and write. So don't feel uh, you know, don't have any excuse to postpone your test. My suggestion on the day of the examination, as per the timetable, if you joined late, you can customize timetable by pushing it as many days as you have joined late. But if you joined early, stick to the timetable. Just come and write the test. Again, you don't be under the notion that you need to score uh, top marks in every test. No, every test is part of the learning. My suggestion, after test number 30 or even after test number 35, you can treat them as tests of testing your preparation. Till then, it is mostly to improve, make mistakes, learn from your mistakes. So you pick up 10 questions out of 20 questions, do experiment. So in these sessions, I'm giving you like one or two hints, suggestions I'm giving you. So if you have taken these suggestions seriously, try to implement them. For example, for one suggestion, I will give 150 words. There should be 8 quality points, right? With 8 examples. For every point, there should be example. Now if you have already written a test, you take the test copy and read for yourself the kind of examples you have written, right? If the synopsis is good, you can compare with it, right? Or if you have notes related to the topic, see if the examples that are there in the notes or textbook are reproduced in the answers. If it is not the case, so again, through synopsis and through those questions, revise them and ensure that you have good quality example for every point and you remembered them. Eventually, what happens is that same kind of questions will be repeating in different dimension, and more or less same examples you will have to reproduce, right? So use the previous tests, the synopsis as your primary guide. Build your knowledge based on the questions that were asked in every test. For example, can you tell me how many tests you have written as part of IPM? Yeah, some people are saying they've written 1 test, 5 tests, 2 tests, 3 tests, 6 tests. Okay. So, okay, now, doesn't matter how many number of tests you have written. Like if it is, let's say 6 tests, every test has around 20 questions. So now it is nearly 100 plus questions and their synopsis. Now, if you write all 50 tests, maybe excluding essay and essay test, you will be answering nearly 800 to 1000 questions. If not answering, you'll be learning from 800 to 1000 answers. So that is before April 2023, right? So from these nearly 800 answers, right, they are going to cover almost every dimension of each GS 1, 2, 3, 4 papers. Okay. Let's say that even only 10%, 10% is huge. Like even 5% of these 800 questions get repeated in the mains, right? The mains in 2023. So that means minimum like 40 questions, right? So 40 questions, of course, not as it is, but 40 topics, right? That is a minimum that you can easily expect to get repeated in the exam. So last year it happened, like most of the questions that we asked as part of IPM and I will, so they got repeated. Of course, not as it is in the question, but mostly similar. So if it is 10%, 80 questions, which means it will take care of all GS 1, 2, 3, 4 paper. Now, the tendency of students will be to focus more on their notes, their textbooks, rather than focusing on these every test and their synopsis. So sometimes synopsis may not be perfect, but you try to enrich it. So based on, again, your the way you prepare from textbooks and your notes, right? So try to enrich those synopsis. If you can remember all questions and all answers from the synopsis itself, then you are actually well prepared for mains. And as I've told many people, IPM is integrated prelims cum mains, and it has huge implication for prelims preparation also. So in prelims, when you are aware of almost every part of the mains syllabus, okay, in depth, because when you are writing answers, you are writing answer for 150 to 250 words, and every topic. And when I'm emphasizing that you need to come up with quality example and remember it. So you are remembering so many examples, remembering so many facts from these main test series. So which is nothing but which can be asked as part of the prelims questions. So writing all the tests of IPM will ensure, I can guarantee this, like I can so confidently tell that you will score GS 110 plus in GS 1 paper in prelims. So of course, it should be complemented with the prelims practice. Whatever prelim tests we have given, you have to give them. Now there are so many students who write only prelim test because it is easy thing to do. So they keep postponing mains tests. So which means you are making a mistake, big mistake. Don't do that. Uh, don't go for easy way. So keep writing mains test according to the timetable. And this is a very important suggestion that I have given you. So might look obvious, but people overlook it. The same suggestion I give it to mains people also. Those who are writing, we have 28 tests, 20 tests of GS 1, 2, 3, 4. I tell them, so there are nearly 400 questions, right? So 400 questions act as base for mains preparation. See, for you people, you are going to write 50 tests as part of IPM, and then again 28 tests as part of IWIL. If you happen to write every test of IPM, you will get free IWIL. So can you imagine, like, your entire mains preparation is safely taken care of, right? So in the beginning, don't try to jump to write perfect answers. Give yourself time. It's a gradual process. My observation is that it takes 2 to 3 months for people to start writing decent answers in the test-like situation. Daily secure, it is a faster improvement. Within 15-20 days, if you write 2 to 3 answers, you can start writing decent answers. But in test-like situation, minimum 2 months is required. Maximum depends, like 4 to 5 months is required. So you give yourself time. Now, what happens is that people stop writing because they don't get good marks. People stop writing, they think they lack content. People stop writing because, of course, lack of motivation. And they see that there is no significant improvement from previous test to next test. You have to be kind, with yourself and giving time, trusting the process, and doing revision through synopsis and selective preparation before every test eventually will ensure that you gain the confidence. And as I told in the very beginning of the session, this will naturally take place, in a very smoothly, the speed will improve. uh, Again, I can guarantee you, like, if you're writing your 40th test or 45th test of IPM, you will be on an average writing 18 minimum answers. And a wonderful thing happens as part of this process, that even for the questions you don't know, you will have the courage to write sensible, relevant answers going forward. So that will also happen. Like, you don't get scared by question that you don't know. Things get connected, all the dots get connected. After like 4 or 5 months, what happens when you are regular with the test, when you are revising, when you are solving prelims, you'll start seeing that you know something about everything. So you will have the courage to start writing. But of course, you need to be honest here. The present demand of the exam is that honesty is rewarded in mains answers. You should not cook up your answer. You should not write fake answers. You should write only what you know, what common sense allows you to come up with, the relevant answers, right? So as a thumb rule, when they were writing answers, like next test, whichever, like for IPM 1 people, it's full and GS 1 test. For others, the second test, I think. Any moment that you write a common point, very generic point, right? So you have to make it a specific point. So don't be satisfied by writing a generic point. Now, completion of answer, completion of paper is not the goal at all, right? So you have to ensure that you have to be satisfied. Like, you write a point, are you self-satisfied by what you've written, right? So that is why I'm telling speed is not important in the beginning. So you take 5 minutes extra for a question. Maybe you can strike it out also. So don't worry about what feedback you are going to get. These evaluators will keep telling you, try to complete the paper, try to complete the paper. So don't go by it. Okay. So don't worry about it. You make it a habit not to write generic stuff in your answer. Generic in the sense, like, too generic without any example. So make it a habit, right? Only the exact point, the relevant point, right? So some people, of course, there is a comment here. Some people have the habit of first reading the synopsis and then writing the answers. See, if you are in the beginning of this IPM program, you can do it. Or if you are in the very beginning stage of writing answers for the first time, first you look into the synopsis, read it, memorize it if you want. And then maybe after 1 or 2 days, try to write the answer. Like first few tests you can do if you are facing problem of inertia, fear of writing. So it's completely okay. So don't worry about it. But after like 3-4 tests, so you move to prepare from the textbook and then give the exam directly without reading the synopsis. So read synopsis after giving the exam. So there is nothing wrong in reading synopsis first and writing the test. Some people take more time. See, first 3 hours with intensity you write. How many answers you are able to write, up to you. So don't worry. Like, if you are able to write 12 answers, you write 3 hours. Then you can take 5 to 10 minutes break and then try to write remaining answers. But that intensity in the 3 hours should be there. Don't tell yourself in the beginning that you are going to take half an hour extra, 1 hour extra to complete the paper, right? So that doesn't serve any purpose and your speed will not improve. So for speed to improve, you have to adhere, you have to strictly follow the time limit. So 3 hours means 3 hours, right? In 3 hours, you write as many answers as possible. After that, maybe after one day or after half an hour, so in the evening, like if you written the test in the morning, you take uh, extra time to complete the paper. It's okay. I mean, again, that will give you false confidence that you are getting good marks. But the 3 hour rule is very important. So don't worry. I mean, yeah. So somebody is asking about what about current affairs? See, current affair, my suggestion is that follow secure initiative if it is from mains perspective, and prelims current affairs quiz. On our website, we are giving 20 questions every day, 5 from editorial, 5 from that day's current affairs, and 10 questions from last day's current affairs. What is that? RTM. Yes, revision through multiple MCQs, RTM questions. So 20 MCQs plus secure should be your current affairs base. These monthly magazines you can take once in a month. Sit for 3 to 4 days, split them into pages, like today 30 pages, tomorrow 30 pages, like this, and try to complete them. So I don't recommend, if your English is poor, definitely read editorials on daily basis. If you are want to improve your critical thinking, analytical thinking, continuously read editorials, because reading editorial should not be compared with current affairs. So editorial is not just part of current affairs. Editorial is part of the whole preparation, starting from prelims to interview. So we see that some analytical questions in prelims. Of course, analysis is there throughout the mains, essay to ethics paper, and then in the interview also. Irrespective of whether you're good or bad in English, editorial like Indian Express, Live Mint, my recommendation, not the Hindu, right? So Indian Express and Live Mint editorials. So if you can read them regularly, it will be better. With respect to Hindu, whenever it is impartial, if it is not bashing the government, so those articles you can read, right? So do whatever, try to minimize your sources. So don't expand, don't diversify sources. If you want to get maximum returns out of every test, every day preparation, I think the best thing to do is to minimize the sources, right? Yeah. So for IPM 2.0 people, it is going to be very difficult for first 1 month, 2 months. So stay with the course, stay with the process. See, where we get appropriate examples and all. So you editorial will have example. You just have to keep an eye on them. For art and culture questions, for example, you have contemporary example from every Sunday, the Hindu paper, that magazine. We'll have at least 1 to 2 art and culture questions. So from there you can get examples, contemporary examples. And of course, every NCERT has examples scattered all over it. It is just that you overlook them. You see only from prelims viewpoint, so you don't see them from mains viewpoint. So there are already plenty of examples. If it is for the essay, you have to do extra effort. For example, for philosophical essays, I recommend the people to write ideas from good authors, ideas from stories from good people who have done great work in their different fields. So one I was telling is, if Nobel laureate, like Peace Prize winners, there are 100+ people. So you select like 5-6 people from them, see their stories. They have their stories, individual stories, and they have contributed immensely to different fields. So you'll get anecdotes from them instead of regularly writing, Kaila Satyarthi, Mother Teresa. You have different examples. Similarly, literature prizes, Booker, Nobel, and our own Gyanpith awardees, right? And like Saraswati Samman. So there are many authors from different languages. So those works, their ideas, right? And there are like short story writers from India. There are anthologies of short stories. So you can collect such kind of short stories, which will have like 2 to 3 page of content, right? So you can quote those short stories. There is a short story about corruption in government offices, short story about how a woman is violated. So there are many things. If you when you bring those kind of examples in your essays, they elevate the quality of your essay, they engage the reader, they make it thoughtful, right? So, like earlier, people used to tell in GS answers, I'm randomly seeing some chat box and answering these questions. Earlier, people used to say, if I have to write 10 point, I will write example only for 4 to 5 points. So now my suggestion, if you're writing 10 point, write example for all 10 points. Be ambitious. If you're writing 15 points, so write example for all 15 points. So in the real exam, you will end up writing 8, 7 example. So that will be decent enough, right? Regarding like people are asking source for ethics. So my recommendation is don't follow any one textbook. There are textbooks by like D.K. Balaji and Subbarao, Lexicon. So my suggestion, don't you read this textbook to understand only concepts, nothing else. Once the concepts are clear, so you close these books. Never get examples from these books because hundreds of thousands of people are doing the same, right? They're getting example from these books and they write the same example in their answers. So you should have your own example, set of examples from different sources, right? So as I said, see, the syllabus is your guide. It says the lives of people like administrators, teachers, leaders. Um, you have those set of people around the world. Like in last 100 years, you have so many of them. So from everyone's life, you collect certain quote, anecdote, their life philosophy, their moral philosophy, ideas, whatever it is. So make a short list. In ethics, the quality of examples in section A. In section B, ethics case studies, what matters is ethical justification. So you write your course of action. For every course of action, there should be justification, ethical justification, right? So that ethical justification can be a constitution article, moral philosophy of so many moral philosophers. It can be the kind of consequences it leads to, right? So all these things. So yes. So you people are like bombarding so many doubts. Like, hmm? So I have addressed this. How to cover syllabus in 1 week? So you have to be selective. Like previous year questions, secure questions, and your notes. Only 3 sources. Don't take the textbook. And also have an eye for other UPSC exams like CAPF exam, uh, economic service mains exam. So wherever they have asked any question that is directly related to UPSC civil service syllabus. So keep those topics as your priority. Prepare for those topics on priority basis. So UPSC is they have like specific thinking and they keep revolving around certain themes. So their degree of difficulty varies from exam to exam, but the topics will more or less remain the same. Right. So collect topics from all these exams and prepare your content. Okay. So in 10 markers, my suggestion is minimum 8 points. For 15 markers, minimum like 12 to 14 points. You should write. So sometimes it may be more than 15 points also in 15 markers because it will have like 2 to 3 minimum parts. How to attempt quotation questions as there is no fixed way of asking in ethics. See, these quotation based questions have two variations. One they will ask in the context of civil service, and one another in the context of what does it mean to you at your level. So if it is asking at your level, like what does it mean to you, you can use first person, like I, what it means to me and all. So these quote-based questions are kind of mini essays, 150-word essays. So if the topic is saying something about like unexamined life is not worth living or something, so at least two why questions should be there in your answer. Like why it says that why unexamined life is not worth living. What people write is directly give the example that unexamined life is not worth living because they give examples, right? So, but not because they give example. Yes, they'll give example. But in the answer, it should be why. Why unexamined? What do you mean by unexamined life? So why that kind of life leads to not worth living? Then how one can actually examine their life, whether it is through spirituality, self-discovery, self-introspection, self-awareness, whatever be the process, and why it is worth it. So, like you are very briefly, without elaborating, very precisely, you are analyzing the topic. So, if it is what it means to you, then you write in your context. Like if you are in a job, if you are a family member, from your family viewpoint, what it means to you for your ambition, for your identity, something like this, for your purpose in your life. If it is in the context of civil service, then you can bring the governance and different stakeholders here. So, right. Okay. So the fear of writing, see, somebody has asked, like, no, I have this fear of writing. Fear of writing, everybody has. The fear of writing, the source of fear of writing is that you want to write good answer. You are afraid to write bad answer. You are afraid to get criticism. You are afraid to get low marks. So here, like I keep telling people, start by writing rubbish answer, totally ridiculous answer. So don't worry about. You are all sensible guys. Most of your graduates, postgraduates, uh, you understand the demand of the question. That English is not that tough. So you see, like what you can recall. So don't try to write very good introduction, very good conclusion in the very beginning. So just start by something. So the best way, as I told, starting by looking at the sources. So you read synopsis right in the beginning. So once you gain confidence, then you can start on your own, right? So I think that is the best way to remove the fear of writing. So how to make notes? So there's a wonderful video by Sudeep sir on YouTube. You can watch. Okay. You can write same mains test again, but again we won't evaluate, right? So that is for your purpose. You can read. It is impossible to read notes and NCRT. See, NCRT is non-negotiable. Selectively you read it. So that's why having list of topics is important. I mean, if you have one test 1 week away, so today you make the list of topics and trust it. Okay, I mean, read only those topics. No, don't feel like you are losing out something. There will be another round of tests. During that time you can read whatever missed out topics. I mean, you have to train your mind to think that, what they prioritize things. So we have grown up through our education system to cover everything, complete everything. So which is impossible. You have to trust that, what you are doing is good. What you are doing will give you more returns. So the key is selective preparation. Yeah. So wish you all the best. We will have another session again, and we'll note down all your doubts. So last time I said the same thing, like we'll try to address them. So, okay, thank you so much. Thank you for patiently listening. Wish you all the best.